Yeah, so to take up, guys, then, where we left off before lunch then, so we covered 84, 85.
Yeah, the build-up.
Yeah, the build-up,
yeah.
and when Cassien, you know, was
kicked
really
off,
starting to kick off, wasn't
Yeah.
it? And it was for me and my buddies that I'd grown up with and was fishing with all the time, you know, Mick included, Jim, Pete, Mark Wilkes, you know, Andy, Steve Eves, the list goes on.
Yeah.
But for us,
Great
back
memories.
then, yeah, apart from the fact that probably only Andy Roth could pull a bird back in them days and the rest of us couldn't, we spent all our time fishing. I think I hadn't long met Al, to be fair. But yeah, so we went in June 86, having corresponded with Max, and Max largely giving us the heads up on how, you know, you would do it and one thing and another. So him and Keith the Tooth went out in the car, us lot went out in the van, and similar to how we went in 87, everyone crammed in, no fault for health and safety or anything like that. You just, all you wanted to do was get there. And like you said, when we turned up, I can picture it coming up that south arm.
There's like a little big car park.
Yeah, that was it.
Pull into,
Yeah, that was it. And we, you know, 45-inch wave lock umbrellas. You know, the ratchet bed chair. I was talking about the Lafuma load chairs the other day, right? And I know we refer to the ratchet bed chair as an Argos bed chair, but I don't know that Argos was even about, was it? But whatever it was a ratchet bed chair.
Click, click, click.
Yeah, and to make it more comfortable, you'd squeeze some foam in under the elastics. Yeah, something like that.
Lilo. Yeah, that's where we used to get them.
Yeah, but
Next door to the pram shop.
yeah. And I think by that time, maybe the first Maddox bed chair from Fox might have just been launched.
I just spoke to Mick
Just,
about that.
yeah, you did you? I think it might have just come about. But yeah, we all had the ratchet chairs, and we just slept that first night on the South Arm, and then the next morning hired the boats from Pierre's and went off. Yeah, and we all went our different ways, but rowing. Yeah, and in truth, you know, I might have tried to sound cleverer than I really was back in them days as to why I fished that point. I probably fished that point because I'd run out of puff rowing.
The opposite shape.
Yeah. Oh, that'd do. Yeah, that point. You know, and I might have said in subsequent articles and conversation, oh yeah, no, I studied the topography and no, there was none of that. Yeah, but no, in truth, when we looked from
I
the,
don't think none of us did though in them days.
Yeah.
We didn't actually have that watercraft and that topography.
No, we'd not.
They read the knowledge even. Mick.
No.
They showed that
We
blind,
learned
really.
we learned as we went along. That's
Yeah,
what we learned. Like, I'm talking
yeah.
about, like,
Did you
what-
see that
what I
shelf?
said about the boats and stuff.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, so you could see the plateau
Plateau,
from
yeah.
where we stood up the hill. No, not the bridge. From the hill on the opposite bank where the road is, where you'd come over the bridge or before you got to the bridge. And when you look down, with the water being as
Shining,
crystal
wasn't it?
clear, it's like blue, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You look down and you could see the plateau. You know, I didn't know it was there, but you could see it. I think, I don't know, I will earmark that. You know, but in truth, I probably, you know, if I've told anyone when I've been on Rainbow or anyone's asked me and I've tried to make myself look like I knew what I was
Are you
doing.
coming clean
No, I'm coming clean, run out of puff, that'll do. Yeah, and we went off in pairs, and me and Alan Partridge was fishing together. Yeah, so when we set up there, and I was fishing one side of the plateau, as I recall. Alan was on the left-hand side. I think it was the second night I lost one, where the fish with 15-pound seal cast, 2 1/4 KM1 Maddox rods from Simpsons, Cardinal 55s. The fish had gone over the plateau, you didn't really know what was going on, and 15-pound seal cast parted. Well, back in them days, we thought 15-pound. I used to fish arrow with 15-pound seal cast leader and 7-pound mainline. Yeah. You know, there's 5 of us here fishing on the South Arm. I'm Kevin. Hello. That's Eric. Norman.
Yeah, Norman's here.
Little Mickey. And Mickey. We arrived Tuesday. We caught sod all.
Totally pissed off. Now we're having a good time in the sun.
Highlight of the day, eating Marks and Spencer's stew and dumplings.
Know who they are though.
Belonging to Mickey, and I'm on the scrounge. But seriously, we can't find the fish, don't know where they are. But hopefully this is only halfway through our holiday, we'll catch something by the time we get home. What do you say, boys?
Well, we hope so anyway, yeah, definitely. Not for one time, just one fish.
Yeah, we just heard one fish leap out in Mickey's.
Almost the ball swim.
But it's about, what, 80 odd degrees?
Oh, more.
Must be 80, 90 degrees. It's pissing down with rain back home. Yeah.
Old Trafford was.
Yeah, and then Keith and Max had gone up the end of the West Arm because they were obviously having spawned. We didn't realise it at the time. They were then starting to move out.
Area, wasn't it?
Yeah, right up the end of the west. Yeah, and at night I can just remember, like you said,
Down, didn't you, rolling?
big things like what is that? You never heard anything like it. And then every now and then, like at dusk or
They get closer,
dawn,
don't they?
you'd see like something roll. You think it can't be a carp. That's like,
It's like someone falling in, isn't it?
yeah, it's massive. And I ended up losing 3 fish, and all because of that plateau.
Mickey having his dumplings and beef stew puddings. Right, windsurfer. South Arm. 2/3 of the way up. And right the way to the top. And that's right at the end of the South Arm. Goes round to the left there. To the river that goes away.
So are you going to come clean on that as well? Is that down at bad angling?
Just not knowing what I was doing. Yeah, you could call it bad angling. You know, hooking a fish. Yeah, hooking a fish, it running, you know, and then,
Powerful, they're big fish.
and I don't know that I recall I was that quick on my feet getting into boats back then. I think it was all new to us.
No, you didn't, did you?
Yeah, you know, it was new to us baiting up
Yeah.
and stuff from a boat, but actually playing fish. And I remember after catching that fish, you know, people saying, "Oh, it don't count because you landed it from a boat." There was all that stigma,
yeah, there's
all
all
that
that,
back in the day, wasn't it?
cheating and all
Yeah,
that
all of
stuff
that, yeah.
now.
But what had happened was a couple of the lads had had their gear confiscated, and Alan always, to this day, I heard all the commotion, and he made enough noise when the guard de pêche come down, having already got Pete's tackle, but we didn't know in the absence of phones and stuff, didn't even have walkie-talkies.
Shout, didn't
Yeah,
we, did?
Alan's made the
It's on us.
commotion.
That's what he's saying, wasn't it? It's on us.
Yeah, exactly
It's
that.
on
Yeah,
top,
it's on
it's
us.
on
Boom.
top.
Yeah,
Get
Alan's
one.
made all this commotion. I had some scissors. I just cut my lines. Right. So by the time the guard de pêche got to me,
He used to have a stick, didn't he, and walk in front of your lines. I remember him doing that. He used to walk in front of your rods like that, so because it would make your alarms go off. That's how they used to test it. Walk in front.
it was it? All I just remember is they come down, 2 of them, you know, and I'm thinking I ain't going to give them no crap, you know, with their guns on their side and this, that, and the other. But they couldn't do me because I'd cut my lines.
no lines
So as far as they knew what I'd done. I know looking back, they knew I'd cut my lines, but they couldn't prove it. So they confiscated Alan's rods, and they ended up taking them up to that little village where we subsequently got them that September. But they couldn't do nothing with me. Well, because a couple of the lads had had their gear confiscated, they then stopped fishing. We had a couple of days left of the holiday, and they went off down into Monaco or Monte Carlo, can't remember.
Nice is close by.
Yeah, whatever it was. They went down there socialising.
Right. Well, grass is where you are, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, they went down there.
Where they do where they do the film festival.
Can, yeah, somewhere
It's not
down
far
there.
from there.
Yeah, and I remember doing the night on my own, or the prospect of doing the night on my own, the last night without Alan. I'm thinking, I don't know what I'm going to do if I get one. What chance I've got of landing it if Alan ain't here to help? And that night, I think it was the Friday night, I'm not sure how, but it was our last night, I landed the 48 very leathery long fish. And I remember playing it, and because the nights were so late, because it was about 9 o'clock, so it was still really light, and I remember playing that 48 from the boat. So by this time I've realised, let it run,
Yeah.
right? Because I think the bites came to 2 rods, fishing 3 rods, the bites came to 2 rods. I'm thinking, let it run, don't put no pressure on it, get in the boat, go after it, get past that plateau, get above it. So by that time, having lost 3 fish, it started to twig. I was pretty slow on the
learning
uptake
process,
back
isn't it?
then, yeah? And that's what I did, and I'm playing that fish.
Another reason
Go on, yeah, no.
Another reason why we used to get in the boat as well, because there were snags in that. And the thing is, we're using such scaled down like the reels. They couldn't hold that much line in that, and the takes used to get there. And once they started taking clutch,
Cardinal
you couldn't
55.
stop them.
No
you
bait
couldn't stop
runners.
them. You know, if you try to stop them like
Yeah.
Luca Paul, so that's like get in the boat, you're above them, like you just said. It's so much easier to get above them like that and let the fish tow you around, and you're tiring them.
And that's what it did.
Yeah.
But you didn't
learning.
realise that
You're
you're not
learning.
actually applying a lot of pressure,
No.
are you?
You think
You're, you know, when you're saying the boat you're being towed, it's like with
Yeah.
tarpon fishing. You know, you're
Yeah.
being towed left, right, and centre. It's because you can't really apply the pressure, and that's why the fish would take so long because there was no real pressure. But when I got that 48 in, and I didn't know it was 48 because I didn't weigh it, but I knew it was a good fish. And bearing in mind, I'd seen some 40s
Yeah.
in England by that time, like Lee's one and one thing and another. I was made up. Yeah,
Yeah,
but I
big
didn't
fish.
recast because Alan had his gear confiscated. I didn't do, you know, people say to me, oh, did you then do the night? No, I didn't. After I landed that fish, the rods were wound in, I didn't want my gear confiscated. Yeah,
You're scared,
Fish.
aren't you?
yeah,
Scared.
exactly that. But the following morning, all that night, I honestly can vividly remember being, you know, sometimes I don't know what I did last week, but I can remember being on that point on my own, flat calm, red hot, not really conducive to fishing conditions, but having caught the 48, not knowing how big it was, as I say, till the following morning, just hearing these fish in front of me, and I'm guessing they'd, you know, spawned in the end of the West Arm.
hungry, aren't
They were coming round. They found that patio. I had me nuts on there. I had Martin's bait from SBS, loads of boilies, and one. I had Alan's bait because he didn't need it. I just, you know, put it all on there, and they was feeding on it. So the next morning, like, would have been about 5 o'clock, and ordinarily I ain't one for getting up early, but I'd had that one. I'm thinking, right, get it out there, put it out there, and then an hour later that one's gone off. Yeah, but done the same thing. Got in the boat, didn't put no pressure on it. It was obviously hooked. Still with the lead on, no drop off leads back then. Didn't really know about it. You know, the lead might cost you 20p. Don't want to lose me lead, whatever. Yeah. And then hooked that fish, then gone after it. And I've told the story a million times, right? Because people ask me, even to this day, when I was
Remember it, though. Go on.
when I was playing that fish, and when I saw that 40 come up, right? When I saw this one under the boat, I'm thinking, if I lose this, no one will ever believe me how big it was, right? I'm thinking that's just,
Was
I
you
don't know.
shaking? Was it-
Everything was shaking, yeah, and I was like nervous. I would be nervous on Harrow playing a fish. My legs used to shake when I hooked the fish on Harrow, right? And I'm playing this fish in one of Pierre's boats and stuff, flat calm. And by that time, someone had seen me because I'd had it on about half hour. And they'd come up on the cliff above, so they're looking down at me, all my mates and that. And I'm thinking, I've got to get this in, you know. And having been on Arrow and lost fish and one thing and another, and I'm thinking, if I
Goes through
keep
your
it,
mind, doesn't it?
I'm keeping it off the bottom. Yeah, I think, right, don't get it on the bottom, don't get off the bottom. Then there's no snags, but then don't give too much pressure because the hook will fall out. Yeah, and then I'm thinking, you know, and I do stretch the truth,
Especially
as
if
most
you've
of my
seen it.
mates know.
If you've
Yeah,
seen- if you've seen
I'm
the
thinking,
signs
yeah,
as well.
they ain't going to believe me. If I lose this, no one, to my dying day, will believe me. And then when it's come up, and the boat's drifting away, even though it was calm, it seemed like the boat would drift away, and I couldn't get the fish to the boat.
Get a purchase
And when I finally did, and I had my landing net, the angle of the net was too acute. So as I've gone to net the fish, it's like it didn't go in the net.
How big was the net in them days? wasn't
It was a 42-inch
Yeah.
net, but it was more the angle of me trying to net it on my own. And now I'm more adept. But when I first started going back to Rainbow and that, I was all over the place with the boat. I'd edit my videos to make it look like, he knows, don't you, Eric? I'd edit my videos to make it look like I knew what I was doing. When I first started back on Rainbow, in a boat, I was like, you know, all over the place. Back then, even more so. So I'm thinking in a split second, do I lower the net or try and scoop it, right?
Scoop a big fish like that.
And gladly, I'm thinking, right, lower the net, try and be calm, and scoop it head first, right? And I'm glad I did, because that's what I did. I lowered the
Swum
net,
into it.
yeah. Then I played it again.
It's
By
always
this
trying
time
to
it was
dive, right?
tired, yeah.
Anyway.
And it's, you know, and I'm thinking, yeah. And all of a sudden it's gone head first into the net.
What was your thoughts at that point, though? How big did you anticipate that fish
I
being?
honestly didn't know.
You
But
didn't know?
knowing
You only
Max's,
caught that one
Max
before,
had
though?
caught the 66,
Oh, you'd
yeah.
seen that?
No, I hadn't seen Max's fish, but
okay.
we've seen pictures of
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
I honestly didn't know, but I'm thinking, you know, that's got to be over £60.
Yeah.
How big it is, I don't know. It's got to be
That's your
over
estimation,
£60. And what I've done was I held it on the side of the boat. There's no collapsing the net down like we do. I just held it on the side of the boat, and then Max come out. Yeah, you know, which was ironic that he'd caught it the year before. He came out in the boat to tow me in, and as he's come out and he's looked at the fish, he said, "That's my fish, but it looks bigger." And then I realised, that this is a and you know, that's why I've probably done so much in fishing as a result of that fish. Because it's sort of there's my 15 minutes of fame. Yeah, you know.
And you carried on.
Carried on fishing, but got that back to the bank. Then went and got the 48, weighed it, and then we had a couple of brace shots with the 48, got that back, and then rest is history. But what also helped that fish be so recognisable was that picture, which was a lucky picture, because the way I'm holding it, and only being 5 foot, 5'5" and a quarter. No, of course you couldn't. So me at 5'5" and a quarter, I don't think I've shrunk since then. So I'm still only 5'5" and a quarter. That fish, and the way I'm holding it, just makes it look so big. And it was big. Don't get it was like across the head.
You've got them memories, mate. All still
I have,
But that's why we're making
and that
this
was
trip.
our trip,
This is why
And
we're
I think
making
Keith, I think Max might have caught that trip. No, I can't remember. The rest of the lads, I don't think we caught. So I had them 2 fish. So that was my trip 86. And we went back in September with Alan, and we bumped into a few of the boys. I think Albert was there and a few of the other lads. But we went primarily to get Alan's gear. We couldn't get Peter's. They wouldn't let. We had to pay a fine up there. Dragging on was the name of the village, I think. And that was the funny thing. Me and Al, we've gone up there, gone and seen the gendarmes, and they took us down into this cellar. And we've gone down this cellar, like underground, one thing and another, gone through this massive metal door, like a bank door, and inside was his rods, and on the racks, machine guns, grenades and shit, and in amongst it, 2 sets of rods, Allen's and Pete's, because they segregated them. So they'd obviously nicked them ones, left them in a particular corner, but they wouldn't let us bring back Pete's. But we got Allen's. But anyway, and that was 86. And by that time, as I say, Cassien was well out. And me catching that fish with it in the Angling Times and Mal, then Cassien was on everybody's radar, I would say.
It was a slow progression then up till now, wasn't it? And when was it? 87 when we went out again?
So 87.
Making the point about how popular it was. If I remember rightly, we went down the North Farm and it was packed. Mainly German, sitting behind each other, waiting for him to go.
Was it that quick? It got that busy?
So the next person could move in. It was all down to West Ham, and I think it was down to the Spalding. That's where the fish were. So that's why everyone was there. So we come back shaking.
I remember that, the West Ham. It was busy.
We went along the South Farm, didn't we?
Go on then, mate. You can.
Apparently, the Rangers. Can I have the camera on me, please, Norman? with the lake behind me. Hi, everybody. I'm Kevin Ellis, famous 76-pound record holder. Now, I'd just like to fill everybody in. We're on the South Arm at the moment. It's now Friday. The Rangers are coming tonight. So what we've decided to do is go right up the end of the South Arm where they won't find us, because we think the fish might be up there as well, but we're not sure. We're going to have a slap-up meal, a few beers, fish there, right out of the way. Hopefully, we get in amongst them. The problem is that we just don't know where the fish are at the moment. But if you interview me this time tomorrow, I'm sure that I can fill you more on exactly what's happening. Sorry?
Who's that on the horizon?
Oh, on the horizon we've got...
Oh, God.
Joe and Alan.
Let's get out there and see. I thought it might have been them in the boat.
Norman.
Oh, yes, it's Joe and Alan coming into us,
They've probably blanked as well.
Yes, it's there's Alan looking over the side of the boat, holding his hat on.
Well, you got the video.
You could mainly only get to the West Arm. Mainly by boat was the best way to get to it, really, wasn't it? Because there weren't much spaces where you could actually get down.
No.
You just park right at the top. That's where a lot of people's motors used to get broken and robbed and that.
Running a trap, wasn't it?
And
there was the.
We used to fish opposite.
There was
the
the
rushes
sign.
and that.
And there was some aggro, weren't there? There was cars being broken into. There was some resentment amongst people, and it was such a catapulted water into the limelight with such big
It
iconic
happened so
fish.
quick,
It happened,
so
yeah,
quick,
in the
so
space of 2 years, it catapulted it to the forefront, and then everybody wanted to be going down there, which you can't blame them. And that's when, like we said, Eric, we started to come across litter. From British anglers, you could see it was British anglers. All of that. There was litter trying to be hidden in bushes and stuff, and no wonder the French got the arse, and the people that controlled it, the electric company, wasn't it? Got the arse. You can understand that. And but that trip of ours. So Mick caught. Where did you catch that from, Mick?
Your point.
Was that my point? Was it?
Yeah, I mean that trip for me holds great
But
news.
It was named Ellis's Point after that. Sorry, Mick. It was named
Yeah,
Ellis's Point
after that,
wasn't it?
yeah.
When obviously I had the luxury of flying out there, and backtracking.
I don't know how you
running a
pulled
visit.
that off.
Yeah, it was good. But I
There's no more room in the van.
I remember
Couldn't get 8 of us in
sitting
it.
I would've
in
thought
the
he would've
cab,
gone, though.
and the driver he spoke a bit of English, and he said, "This is the start of the lake," and I've been fishing a pond about the size of this table, and it went on and on and on,
We didn't even go up the
and
bottom
I'm
of the
thinking to
North
myself,
Arm.
this ain't a lake, it's like a North Sea.
It is, yeah.
And
Like the
you'd
ocean.
come back, because it was a 2-week trip, you'd come back to Pierre's and we swapped the boats, and you just went, that way please. So here I am, I ain't gonna do no rowing, is he? So I'm rowing out.
You make me
to
sound like Mick.
this iconic swim, Ellis's Point. And I think you'd already set up on the right side, and I just went on the left side. But the other thing that I remembered about the trip was the gear we had, the minimum amount of gear. I think I lived on 6 tins of peaches.
Yeah.
Something ridiculous like that.
Yeah, you got by, didn't you, in them days?
That's
Yeah.
right. Nick. You
And a
just-
45-inch brolly.
Yeah. But the other thing that I slipped up terrible on was, it was so lovely of the daytime. South of France is a wonderful place to be. Come up past 9 when the sun went, I was freezing me nuts off.
Cold at night,
I didn't have no gear. I got a sleeping bag that was just
it wasn't used
wafer
to it.
thin,
It wasn't used
But
to it.
that aside,
Wasn't prepared, that's the
you
word.
wasn't prepared. But
No.
because it was such an iconic trip, you was just prepared to suffer it.
Yeah, you suffered it.
And then I
Well,
don't
listen,
know what day it was.
It was proper sort of like pioneering days.
Yeah, it
and
was.
things, and
But when you
learning
talk
as you go
about
along.
food, right, someone's sitting to my left when you don't take a lot of gear, right? So we went to Macros and bought freeze-dried soup stuff that you had to dehydrate with water.
Yeah, but we done all
So
that.
that's what we had, and then one day we're in their swim. What they got there?
A
Goes
delivery
behind,
probably.
there's the little gas cooker on the go with all the boiled potatoes, the stew and dumplings, and I went,
Ray Bentner's, wasn't it?
you cheeky bastard.
Ray Bentner's.
You had to come and eat some of that stuff with us, and it gave you the trots, if I remember rightly.
Yeah, probably.
That gear weren't no good.
Oh,
Yeah.
mate, and it's you two eating dumplings and
Yeah, Ray
Marks and
Bentner's
Spencer's
pies.
meals.
So you can imagine that
And we've
tent
got
at
all
night. I
this
used to share a
fried-
tent with him. Imagine how that stunk. That.
Yeah.
Didn't we? Sleep side by side.
When you overlay the pictures,
Used to
and
laugh,
there's
actually,
a
we
picture of
used
you
to
and
do it.
I in that swim, and you're bending over doing something, I hasten to add, and you look at the kit that we got between us,
Yeah.
and it is just 2 40-inch wave locks,
Yeah.
2 scatty bed chairs.
Very scaled down.
It's just minimal.
What
Yeah.
the fishing was UK with.
Yeah.
So we didn't know what was up against.
No,
Yeah.
and, for those who have never caught from there, will probably never understand the buzz of catching.
No.
Cassien
The thing
carp.
is, no one can take that away from us. Like,
No.
we had that buzz for early days, right up until them times.
It was,
it was a unique situation.
When
you know?
Kevin, wanted to put this together,
Mm.
and I was looking through the photos, of this fish, you just don't realise,
Back
how
then.
iconic it is
Absolutely.
to
It
catch a fish from that particular
Absolutely.
lake.
No, and that's
And-
what's lovely to do this.
And, and another part, because Kevin's never been short of coming forward. When
He's always been short though.
Well, yeah, but
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
so am I. So there ain't a lot between us.
Yeah, I'm taller than you, though. Yeah.
You reckon?
In
We'll have a little
Only with
steward
your
on
heels
that.
on.
Yeah.
So when I, do get a bite, he's going to me, get out of the way. I said, oh, you don't remember this bit.
No.
So we're both up higher. The alarm goes off. You're going to me, get out of the way. Yeah, I said, how do you know it's yours? It's mine. It's mine.
Yeah.
So
Either
I'm-
way, it's mine.
I'm thinking he must know the tone of his. So I'm strolling down. I ain't even like.
Did you know the sound of your alarm?
I don't even remember being there, Mick, when you caught that.
He goes
Right.
down there and he's going, he ain't mine. All of a sudden, like,
Oh,
the
me.
old ticker's going like that. Here we go.
Now you got to perform.
And,
Right, yeah,
that's
yeah,
sort of
yeah,
how
no.
I
And
remember
how
it.
big was that, Mick?
I think it was 34,
Yeah.
34, just under
Bit bigger than
35.
Alan's.
Yeah, was that your biggest fish to date then?
Oh.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I'd had a few from Harrow, but I didn't
Yeah.
fish Harrow really in the early times.
No.
But it could have been 25, 15, 10. It didn't matter.
don't
No,
matter,
no,
does
no,
it?
of course not.
It was,
Of course not.
it was a, you know, I remember sitting in the boat, and you perhaps don't remember this, and I'm saying here, I hope it's a 20. Yeah, I wanted it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
20 was big, 20
Well, that's
was big
what,
in
in
them
them
days.
days,
They were
you
big
always
20s,
wish
wanted a 20.
at least a £20.
Because
I'm happy.
you came out in the boat with me. I didn't go out on my own. You came out. You done.
I don't remember. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
got over the fish, and
Yeah.
yeah, as they say, the rest was history.
He
It
couldn't
was, you
remember
know,
because it weren't his run.
no.
Yeah, no, you're
But
right.
Honestly,
Yeah.
Nick, if you'd have been there, you'd
Yeah,
thought
I know, it'd be
it,
funny.
he was double sure it was his.
Yeah.
his
Well,
rods.
listen, when you're fishing pairs, like you both run down anyway,
Yeah.
didn't you?
Yeah.
Because you didn't know, no, it's yours, it's yours. That's how it was then, wasn't
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
But it was.
And we used to take it in turns in them days, didn't we, as well?
Yeah, after all. Yeah.
I think that just the whole trip, when even it was time to leave, I stayed an extra night. I stayed in
Yeah.
a guest house somewhere, and had a couple of
You
beers
had
on
it,
the
you
own.
had it off. You
Oh,
you
Mick,
out
you
there, guess
you
now,
set a
before you go
precedent
back
for
home.
what was to come.
Yeah.
The way you can, especially
it.
now,
Yeah,
do this hobby
Yeah.
so
it was. But I was
easily.
reflecting on the trip. You know, I had time to myself
Yeah.
just to realise, and it wasn't until I read that article just recently in that Angling Times article,
Yeah.
just how iconic that trip that you was
Yeah.
on originally.
It was the Angler's
And-
Mail, yeah.
And,
You're right.
you know,
Well, what
the way that transformed that lake into
Well,
people
and
thinking,
Europe
"Gotta be
fishing,
here."
really, European fishing. That was
Yeah.
the gateway
The
to
French still
actually.
weren't carp fishing.
No, French, Germans, anyone like that. But everywhere in Europe, that was actually Cassien was the very first iconic place that
I'll
where it all started.
I'll tell you what
All
happened
started.
as well, because when I got home, I phoned up Angling Times and I phoned up Angler's Mail.
Right.
And tell them about the story, right? Angling Times went, oh, if you could send in, I was going, okay, boom. I phoned up Angler's Mail. Where do you live? We sent a report come round my house.
Did he?
Yeah, sitting in your
2 days later, 3 days later, we went through the story.
As they did when I at my house when I was
Big-
living
big fishing
with
there,
my mum and
wasn't
dad.
it?
Yeah,
Angling
but I also remember reading not long after I caught that fish that if you'd caught, and it was never confirmed as a world record or anything, there was always conjecture, you know, and there'd been apparently an 81-pounder caught before,
river, wasn't it?
yeah, from the
Yon,
River
yeah,
Yon,
Yon.
was it, or
Yeah,
something?
That was the French. Yeah, it wasn't a French record what you had.
Yeah,
But
wherever
it was the biggest carp an English angler had ever caught.
But I remember chancing my arm with Trilene Berkeley or someone because they'd there was a thing about if you'd got a world record, you could get £1,000, you know, enormous amount of money or something.
money in them
If
days.
you'd caught it on Trilene, I think it was Trilene line.
Berkeley made trialing.
It was Trilene. Well, of course I caught it on Trilene line when there's £1,000 involved. So I wrote off to them. But yeah, I might even have the letter. I'll have to dig it back. You know, no, you know, they got out of it one thing and another.
Right.
Yeah. But yeah, I remember doing that, and I've got a few snippets. I hope I can find that I can overlay, like your images, Mick and Alan, because Alan caught a fish that trip as well, didn't he? He's on the video. Your fish ain't on the video, Mick.
No.
Yeah. So that was the thing. Alan's fish is on the video.
The photos, I'm not sure.
Yeah, we got the photos of Mick's fish,
Yeah.
but we must have been round at the West Arm when you boys were mainly on the South Arm.
Yes,
That's what I
right.
think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we come round at different times, didn't we?
We was roughly in the middle of the South Arm. You
Yeah.
was down on Ellis's.
Yeah, and but yeah, so there was 2 fish caught that
But even
caught that trip.
puts it in perspective, don't it? You know,
It
2 week
wasn't
trip.
easy. It wasn't
2 week
easy.
trip. You got 6 people and there's 2 fish caught.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that was just
yeah.
that fight. It wasn't
Yeah.
easy. It's huge.
That puts that in perspective. You know, it wasn't a go down, chuck it in and catch.
Well, no, for the size of the place, the stock of the fish, you know.
But there
that's
were
the
times
most
when anglers did have big hits,
Oh, yeah.
and I remember
Shoals
to
of
come
fish.
back to Andy Pointing, bless him, who's from our village, born and bred in my village. I can remember because I knew of Andy, he was fishing I think Layer at the time. I wasn't on Layer, but we knew of Andy, and he was a standout guy. Being the big guy that he was, and a great angler. But I remember him down there. He did catch a good few fish in a short space of time, and I do remember some guys going down there, even when the lake got harder. Because there's no question, back then it was the easiest time to catch fish at Cassien, no question of it. And nowadays that's and with all the changes, the one point they allowed night fishing, then they didn't. There was all manner of things. I went, to jump forward slightly, just briefly, because it ain't about modern day Cassien, but having gone back there on the anniversary of me catching that fish 4 years ago this June, I went with Mick Murray with Cassien Carp Tours. As beautiful as Cassien will always be, it was bloody hard. It was hard because you couldn't night fish.
Access is a nightmare.
Yeah, access a nightmare to get the boat down. The whole thing. I come home, I had a week off work to get over it. But back then, guys were chancing. I went back subsequently 2001, 2002. You could night fish it. It was easy. But there were times when Cassien was very, very daunting subsequently. Whether you was keeping one, like when we went to the Orient, you was always keeping one eye open for the garde de pêche. You could never really relax. But every now and then you'd either see a big fish or you'd hear a big fish. It just kept you going. Yeah, and I think that's what Cassien, it's still about. Yeah, when you turn up there, that place, as lovely as the lakes are fished in France, they say about Cassien, the way the mountains come down.
I think that is the thing is with that, it is because it's so iconic, and it was actually the first ever place the English anglers when we put place on the map. I think that's got a lot to do with it as well.
Yeah.
It's part of history, really.
Yeah, and good luck to those that are fishing it now. Anyone who's got the case.
Is that still the lake record, 76?
No, so my fish got caught up to £77. Right. A couple of times after I had it, there was a young lad that had it, and then it subsequently died. And people watching this will probably know if I said, and I'd probably stand corrected. But I think it was caught, a couple of times after me. I think it died the following year I had it. It might have been 86. It might have died 87 or 88. Yeah. But and there was a few other big uns there, weren't there? There was another 70. There was a few upper 60s. One of them got a name. I can't remember the name of the fish. There was a few others. Yeah, but that was that at the time was the biggest one in there. No, I don't think anything else. Not that I know of. Not that I know of. No. Yeah. But to think how big those fish had got.
They were young fish.
Yeah, those fish had got big without anglers' baits. The natural food, the craze. Then poisson chat. I thought, I'm catching these mini catfish. I'd never seen a poisson chat before. Bloody things kept banging themselves on the hook. One thing and another. Them and all the challenges subsequently with.
Just like to say we're on our way home now. We've had 10 days out here, been enjoyable, couple of fish caught, weather's been superb. This is Cassien, a few of us are blanked, a few have caught, but we'll be back again. We're just loading up now, we've got a journey home, we'll be home tomorrow morning about 10, 11 o'clock. Today's Thursday, but...
I want something to stand on, come and lay it.
You what? You take the piss out of me. That's Mickey always done nothing but take the piss out of me. He don't do sod all. There's this skivvy little Mickey up the back there. All he does is give the bloody orders around here. What do you want now?
Come here, I'm gonna step up.
And then other anglers went on and they advanced the methods as they do. And then the methods got better, the line got better, the rods, the drop-off leads.
Things have evolved from that.
Yeah, outboard motors, echo sounders, crikey. I remember donking around, like messing about one thing and another. Yeah, all of that, yeah. And then you donk down with a lead and then you couldn't get the lead back up because you'd put it on a tree stump. You're going like that, what's going on here? Yeah, all of that. Yeah, so mad times, yeah. Yeah, and as I say, what I plan to do is just get as many pictures together of that era, not modern day Cassien, but that era, put them together so for guys watching this and ourselves, we'll get to see, like your photos, all our photos, and some of those old pictures of those you know, those very early days.
It is where it all began.
Yeah, it's great times. Yeah.
Carp fishing in general, even in the UK, there wasn't that many then, was there? It was mainly match angling when it was the big scene back in the 80s.
Yeah, it was bigger than carp fishing.
But
carp, you could see
meetings at Luton or Dunstable or at Wembley where they used to be in the conference hall. I mean, that only held I think was it 2,500, 3,000 people. It never used to fill that up, did it? We used to go there each year for the CAA meetings.
Yeah. For me, I would say when you look at the Dick Walker era of the 50s, right, which is probably the real start of specimen hunting and everything that went with that through the 60s, Jack Hilton, Quest for Carp, if you read that, it gives you a great insight to that era. And then I met John, who's doing our filming, in Romford Angling Centre. We were match anglers back then, besotted match anglers. Carp anglers used to come in, they were like weirdos. They were, like, you know, Bob, bless him, who's got Robertson's down in Chadwell Heath Way. He would build our rods. He was a carp angler fishing the Beck. Now, you know, we are going off at a tangent here, but he was fishing Becontree and Districts water. He used to come in, pick up our rods to be built, one thing and another. He was a carp angler. I thought he was a weirdo. Not that he's a weirdo, but carp anglers seem to be weirdos. Yeah? And, you know, carp anglers, they camp all week, you know, and they catch maybe one, and me and John were match fishing, thinking where the dogs doodahs, you know, we're the proper anglers, not them ones camping out all week. All of that, catching nothing. You know, so I think if you look back, you know, and then that early 80s with Maddox and Carp fever and the hair rig, boilies.
Getting back on track.
We're going off at a tangent now.
What you hit on then, like Kevin, who got up to Carp fever, that was a brilliant book.
The book, the Bible.
This is, now we're going to go right back to the beginning now. That is how we first actually got onto Cassien.
And Paul Regent.
And the Regent trip. So that's it. So how long ago was that, the Carp fever book that you had?
So that would have come out about 81, something like that.
So 83 we see him on the thing. It's all evolved from
When you mentioned the CAA, that disbanded about 80, 81, about that time.
No, it was going later than that, wasn't it? The Carp Society come along about 83, 84, I think.
When I done a slideshow, one of the last slideshows at Wembley Conference. Was you there?
And you was made BCSG.
Yeah, that was 1989. You were standing next to me and I was doing a talk. Well, it was great though, wasn't it?
So anyway, guys, we covered it all, Casey. We covered it, as I say, those early days. And I think what will make it more interesting for all of us is seeing that old footage, boys. As I say, I just need a bit more final editing with it. Overlay, as I say, the pictures and the articles.
And what I think it touched on as well, it gives a lot of the modern day anglers now, who are out there, like youngsters and something, people coming through into the carp fishing sort of industry now. There's how it all started off and that.
Just I don't know quite how.
Experience, really, weren't we?
No,
it was all new to us.
Off the cuff, that's what I'm saying.
You just went along and learned.
You've gone out and just ventured out. It was an adventure. That's why I see it. At my age, when I was at that age, it was an adventure, but a brilliant adventure. And it's come to this, you know, iconic, you know, fish that you all caught, and it was brilliant.
And we're still doing it.
And we're
still doing it.
That trip,
still here.
That obviously the video relates to, is us here. Alan's still alive, but not here today, is he?
Well, he looks like he's alive.
Alan's mate, Joe Brooks, whose mate was Lenny Middleton, who was involved with the Eric, wasn't it?
You have to give Lenny credit along with Maddox, for sure,
And obviously my old mate Norman, who's no longer with us,
Who's
looking down.
And Stuart Patterson, God bless them all.
Went out, didn't he?
He was on one of the trips to...
Well, God bless all them who are not with us now, you know. We're still here to tell the story, as they say, you know, so it's brilliant.
Well, it's been great to reminisce, boys, it really has, and what a great day to be doing it and all.
Nice.
And thanks to John for doing all the filming. No pressure, John. You've got to make us all look good, look slimmer.
John,
you've got that slim lens.
John, I'll give you that score in a minute to keep.
You've got a lot of editing to do, John.
When the night has come and the land is dark, and the moon is the only light we'll see. No, I won't be afraid. Oh, I won't be afraid. Just as long as you stand by me. So darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me. If the sky that we look upon should tumble and fall, or the mountain should crumble to the sea, I won't cry, I won't cry, no, I won't shed a tear, just as long as you stand by me. And darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand now. Stand by me. Stand by me. Stand by me, stand by me. Whenever you're in trouble, won't you stand by me? Oh, stand by me. Whoa. Dolphins can swim. Though nothing will keep us together. We can beat them forever